Ja, no, no. Honorable Premier, members of the Executive, members of this August House, staff members, our guests in the gallery, good morning and welcome to our city. We may now proceed with our program. Item 2. Are there any motions without notice in terms of House Rule 145? Honorable Maharaj. Honorable Maharaj, I'm told all mics are not working except this one on the podium.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Democratic Alliance to move that this House notes that on the 11th of May 2021, the Democratic Alliance publicly congratulated Lieutenant General Terry Hatebe on her appointment as Limpopo's first female police commissioner. Also notes that the DA had high expectations for the Commissioner Hatebe, especially in the combating of gender-based violence. Notes that since Commissioner Hatebe's appointment, most crimes increased during every quarter, and that the crime statistics for the second quarter of 2022-2023 indicate that crimes across the board increased exponentially. Assault to do grievous harm increased by 21.9%, common robbery increased by 40.1%, rape increased by 15.5%, robbery and residential robbery increased by 51.2%. Stock theft increased by 30.7%. Notes that Lieutenant General Hatebe is not up to the task to ensure the safety or property of citizens. Also notes that the people of Limpopo have lost confidence in SAP's ability to effectively serve and protect. I so move.
Thank you very much. Any second? Honorable Smith? Yes. Honorable Smile, I think we are not honorable enough for recording purposes. If we can speak closer.
Honourable Speaker, thank you. I stand to second the motion as read by Honourable Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any motions without notice in terms of House Rule 145? Honourable Managabala did not receive any indication from her part. Yes. I will allow you, but procedurally we have to submit any indication.
Honourable Speaker, the economic freedom fighters in Limpopo welcomes the arrest of the 59-year-old former MM of the Elias municipality and former mayor of Elias who is now the current mayor of Sikukuni District Municipality. The duo appeared in the Victoria Specialized Commercial Crimes Court on Wednesday, the 23rd of November 2022, subsequent to their arrest on Wednesday in Problems area. The arrest was a result of an ongoing investigation into the VBS mutual bank investments that were conducted by municipalities in contravention of the Municipal Finance Management Act. The MM is said to have been instrumental in in investing 190 million municipal funds into the VBS mutual bank, wherein the mayor who received over 300,000 in gratification, which included cash, accommodation, and flight tickets. These were channeled through a company belonging to a children. The two suspects appeared in the Pretoria Specialized Commercial Crime Court, as I mentioned, on Wednesday on charges of corruption, money laundering, and contravention of the Municipal Finance Management Act, as well as the Banks Act. We call on relevant law enforcement agencies to explore all legal means to recoup the money from the mayor. The Hawks must leave no stones unturned in investigating the VBS saga and must ensure that every hand found in the cookie jar is brought to book. No one must escape the long arm of the law if we are serious about restoring public confidence in the justice system. The arrested mayor must be replaced with immediate effect to avoid collapse of the services. The economic freedom fighters commend the Hawks for proving that no one is above the law, regardless of their prominence, political affiliation, or social standing. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, any second. Honorable Mshana. Any motions without notice in terms of House Rule 145? None. Let's proceed to item 3. Any notices of motion in terms of House Rule 146? Thanks. Let's move to item 4. Are there any statements by members in terms of Rule 200? Honorable Mshana.
Speaker, Premier, members of the House. Honorable Speaker, the EFF salute Committee of Ward 24 Makanga Municipality for exposing what Councillor Mr. Mohari Makwamba of selling jobs and hiring his own people without involving the local community. The Committee of Matabani, Matodong, and Mutuluni lament that Makwamba hired members of the Ward Committee who are already being paid by the municipality to work on the renovation of Lafole Stadium situated between Matabani and Matodong. The project started in October and expected to be finished by September 2023. As it stands, the people had passed a vote of no confidence in the councillor as it showed no respect for them, forgetting that they put him in power. The councillor was being removed with immediate effect if these allegations are found to be true. The EFF is further concerned that the councillor is arrogant and does not want to lead committee on anything, including this matter. We call upon the MEC for Comstar to investigate this matter and make sure that the councillor is removed if the allegations are found to be true. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mshana. Any statement by members? Any response from members of the executive to the member statement? Okay. Let's move to executive statement. Any executive statement? None. Are there any tabling of committee reports, other reports and papers? Thanks. Let's move to orders of the day. In terms of orders of the day, we have made a little bit changes in terms of the numbering of the items. Item 7.1, it will be 7.3 and 7.2, 7.1. Let's start with the 7.1. Consideration and adoption of the report of the Portfolio Committee on Provincial Treasury on Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill 2022, B03/2022, Committee Chair.
Thanks very much, the Honorable Speaker. In the name and on behalf of the Portfolio Committee on Provincial Treasury in the Provincial Legislature of Limpopo, I move that the report of the Portfolio Committee on the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriations 2022 be adopted as a report of this Honorable House as it appears on the announcements, statements, and committee reports, otherwise referred to as ATC. I move accordingly, the Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Committee Chair. Any seconder? Honorable Khan. Honorable Khan, you are advised to move forward to the podium.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I, Lady Madara Khanani, hereby second the move for adoption of the motion as presented by Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Khanani. We will now move to item 7.2, the second reading debate on the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill B03/2022, and we shall now refer to the speakers list. Our first speaker on the list is Honorable Mariel Khanani.
Thank you once more, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, our Premier, Stanley Matawata Matakabiwa, Chief Whip, Deputy Chief Whip, MECs present here, chairpersons of different portfolio committees, honorable members of the House, members in the public gallery. Good morning. Honorable Speaker, I, Lady Madara Khanani, rise to debate on the motion on Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill 2022 B03/2022, report of the Provincial Treasury Portfolio Committee for consideration and adoption by this Honorable House. Honorable Speaker, the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill B03/2022 was introduced in the House on the 17th November 2022 by our Honorable MEC support. The bill was appointed referred to the Portfolio Committee on Provincial Treasury for consideration, scrutiny, and to report back to the House. The committee met on the 22nd November 2022 for consideration and adoption of the report on the bill. Honorable Speaker, the total adjustment allocation increased the provincial budget from 72.2 billion to 78.1 billion, and it is comprised of additional vegetable share allocation, for the amount of 1.1 billion, which is funding for 2022 national management fees. Honorable Speaker, from the underspending of 1.1 billion on conditional grants, the province applied for the rollover of 8.7 million and only 8.071 million was approved by the National Treasury. The province surrendered 3.3 million on conditional grants and 93.8 million in education, 80.27 million in agriculture and rural development, 62.6 million in public works, 52 million in coastal and 32 million in sport, arts and culture. Madam Speaker, there must be accountability and consequence management in the event of repeated underspending and expense of needed services to our communities. We all know that as the government, we must better the lives of our people. The committee found that the allocation to the department was adjusted upwards from 74.2 billion to 78.1 billion, which is an increase of 3.9 billion. Although, Honorable Speaker, most departments received equitable share and conditional grants rollover from the 2021-2022 to 2022-2023 financial year, they surrendered millions of compensation of employees' budget. The committee found that the department underspent on their budget and as such, surrenders were made on both equitable share and conditional grant allocation. There was a likelihood that underspending might be incurred again on additional allocation. Honorable Speaker, the committee was concerned about the capacity to spend on additional allocations given the time frame within which such allocation should be utilized. There were only challenges on the expenditure on conditional grants in the department and in the municipalities. Honorable Speaker, under expenditure on MIG has always been reported as a challenge within the municipalities. Irregular expenditure had always been a provincial occurrence as compared to other unwanted expenditure. Despite recommendations made by the Auditor-General and other law enforcement agencies on irregularities in the province, there seems to be a slow regress to that challenge. Provincial Treasury indicated to the committee that it was not getting cooperation from the affected departments, particularly on the implementation of the recommendations in the forensic report and other investigation reports. There was a need for revenue enhancement strategies in the province to augment the provincial revenue funds. Honorable Speaker, the committee made the following recommendations. Amounts reflected on the schedule of the bill should be appropriated to departments accordingly, and the principle of the bill should be accepted by the House. Departments should revisit their plans to ensure that achievable targets are set to avoid unnecessary surrenders of equitable share and conditional grant allocation. Therefore, it calls for a crucial need for prudent spending on departmental allocation of speaker. Progress should be reported on the functions of the Special Technical Committee in dealing with the challenges of conditional grants and other spending challenges in the province. Honorable Speaker, the Provincial Treasury should submit a report on irregular expenditure incurred in the previous 4 years. The report should be comprehensive enough to include the following: department involved in irregular expenditure amounting in each line of department, officials involved in actions must be taken against such officials, and measures taken to regularize such irregular expenditure in various departments. The report should be submitted on the 30th November 2022. Innovation ways should be explored to enhance revenue collection and economic recovery in the province. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the committee considers and acknowledges the principle of the bill and hereby move that this report be adopted as a report of this Honorable House. Further, Honorable Speaker, that the bill should be processed to the next stage of the legislation. I so move accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Khanyane. The next speaker, Honorable Rapela.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to members of this August House, Honorable Premier in your presence, not absent. The EFF in Limpopo notes the underlying and disappointing midterm policy statement as presented here. And also the Limpopo government fails to spend the amount that was given to them, and 74 billion in the 2022-2023 financial year. It is a cause for concern that this government has forsaken the needs of the people who voted for it. The party continues to disregard providing basic services delivery to the people, to the impoverished people, jobs, and marginalized residents of this province. The rational and unjustified return of unspent budget to Treasury by Provincial Department of Health, Roads, Limpopo gambling, tourism, even active of poor control, lack of political leadership, and poor government. And another concern is that the other section that is most affected by this return and unspent money is the compensation of the employees, which is a serious concern. Then you can see that who are the people who are paying the workers. The people of Limpopo should know that the leadership that they are the ones who are paying them. They don't want to give them and pay what is good for them, but they rather give that to the elites, business people. Because of, those are the people that matter. On the 17th of November 2022, the Limpopo Treasury delivered a President's midterm policy statement and adjustment appropriation bill, which lacked practical commitment to turn things around in government departments and entities that continuously fail to spend allocated budget. Every year, every midterm budget, this is the statement that we continue to speak about. There was no consequence management, corrective measures, or valid reasons for the unspent part of the budget. The budget does not promise any creation of sustainability, of sustainable jobs, economic development. That means we'll see basic infrastructure restored and extended in many communities. It is said that the Limpopo government is an autopilot, and it is, as a result, accountability takes a back seat necessarily because the leadership is no longer saving the people of Limpopo with keen interest in education. We don't know what details them. Maybe after this Congress has passed, maybe things might come back to normality. The Premier is forever absent here in the legislature. That's why I don't know Paisa. The Premier is not here. The Premier is avoiding accountability and scrutiny. By far, the Limpopo economic recovery plan should have been long successfully implemented, and only if the government led by this leadership was capable and having the interest of the people at heart. Furthermore, the EFF is hopeful about additional funds into all provincial departments, which include the increased infrastructure budget
from 6.8 billion to 8.3 billion. In essence, the budget will not translate into meaningful quality and sustainable use and usable infrastructure. Instead, the budget will be squandered and only crumbs will be returned back to Treasury. Further allocation of budget into failing department is a waste of taxpayers' money and another chance for looting spree by the ruling party. Residents of Limpopo need water, electricity, proper roads. Therefore, the EFF urges the Limpopo Provincial Government to ensure that all the allocated budget in the financial year under review are spent accordingly within the set time frame. We urge the department to strictly ensure proper management and avoid unnecessary surrenders of equitable share and conditional grants allocations. In areas where money was lost, the department must enhance revenue collection and safeguard the public purse. There must be a clear plan to avoid irregular expenditure. We were calling for that and asking the department to seriously consider that aspect. We cannot afford to lose millions year in, year out. The EFF is committed to ensure that the oppressed, landless, and jobless masses of our people receive better services through what we are doing. We will closely monitor the department around the failing department, and if they fail to improve, we will not hesitate to intervene decisively, as we always do. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Maharaj.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, the total adjusted allocations have increased the provincial budget to 78.153 billion rands, a 5.23% increase from 74.230 billion. This increase is comprised of an additional equitable share allocation to the amount of 1.186 billion rands, which is, in fact, the funding for the 2022 national wage increase. It further comprises the conditional grant rollovers to the tune of 827.07 million rands from the 2021-2022 to the 2022-2023 financial years. Lastly, an additional allocation of 81.023 million, which is the public transport maintenance grant, was added in the adjustment amount. It is encouraging, and we welcome the own revenue increase of 47% to 2.176 billion. 2.176 billion rands from 1.480 billion rands. However, we cannot accept and condone departments that do not spend on their conditional grants. This, given the fact that budget allocations have been reduced and unemployment has increased whilst infrastructure development in the province is already a huge backlog. The non-spending of conditional grants is in essence robbing the people of Limpopo of a better and improved life. And going forward, there must be consequence management for those responsible for returning unspent grants. Honourable Speaker, an amount of 982.4 million rands was underspent in the 2021-2022 financial year on the equitable share allocation. A cumulative amount of 767.5 million rands was applied for by various departments as rollovers. However, Provincial Treasury recommended an amount of 802.567 million rands. What cannot be acceptable, and where consequence management must be urgently followed, is the surrender of 855.245 million rands on the equitable share by the province. Once again, if one looks at the benefit these funds could have added to the lives of our people in Limpopo, it should anger us for all this dereliction of functions. From the total underspending of 1.162 billion rands on conditional grants, only 827.071 million rands was approved by National Treasury, instead of the 876.787 million rands applied for rollover. In essence, the province surrendered 335.339 million rands in conditional grants, broken up as follows: education, 93.88 million rands; agriculture and rural development, 80.27 million rands; public works, 62.6 million rands; COGSTA, 52 million rands; and fine sports, arts and culture, 32 million rands. This this whilst we have huge backlogs in terms of housing, huge backlogs in terms of addressing the roads and infrastructure in the province, and huge backlogs in addressing the schooling and the hospital situation in this province. Honourable Speaker, the total amount inclusive of equitable share and conditional grants surrendered to National Treasury for the province is 1,190,584 billion. Once again, as mentioned, this is a substantial amount, and we call on those responsible to account for the dereliction of functions. We are also very concerned that given the time frame left for the end of the financial year, that the likelihood that underspending might be incurred again on the additional allocations. And the committee is concerned that the capacity within the departments as well to spend, and this must be monitored to ensure that we do not encounter a situation of fiscal dumping in the last quarter, or that departments feel pressurized and as such spend the conditional grants incorrectly, raising audit and financial issues in contravention of the PFMA. The committee is further concerned about municipalities, given the historical challenges on underspending on the big grants, or the big, which raises audit and MFMA findings. The continuous concerns regarding irregular expenditure on a yearly basis is also worrying, as is the lack of consequence management on the leadership and management of these municipalities. This issue is further compounded by the lack of cooperation towards the Provincial Treasury, and there is slow redress to address the issues and concerns raised by the Provincial Treasury, specifically on the implementation and recommendations in forensic and other investigative reports. Despite recommendations from the Auditor-General and other law enforcement agencies of irregularities within the province, there appears to be a lack of political and administrative will to amend and improve on these issues. We therefore recommend that should there be no consequence management at municipal level, that this must be enforced at provincial level. Honourable Speaker, the province needs new and innovative means of revenue enhancement strategies to augment the provincial revenue funds. It is only through innovation and new ideas that this can be improved and enhanced. It is highly advisable that as a matter of urgency, given the time constraints, the departments revisit the plans to ensure that achievable targets are set and to avoid any further surrenders of both equitable and conditional grant allocations and to avoid fiscally irresponsible spending. A progress report must be tabled on the functions of the Special Technical Committee in dealing with the challenges of the conditional grants as well as other spending challenges in the province. In conclusion, a detailed report for the past 4 years of irregular expenditure must be tabled. This comprehensive report should outline details such as department officials involved, irregular expenditure amounts incurred in each line department, action taken against them, and measures implemented to address these issues or to regularize such irregular expenditure across the departments. And this report must be submitted by the end of this month. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Pala, Committee Chair.
Thanks very much, the Honorable Speaker of the Provincial Legislature. Key adjustment budget, otherwise called mini budget. The main budget was done by the Honorable MEC in May, April. Now we are debating where the MEC has looked at department spending and looked at which areas are not spending and where money must move on areas which will be able to spend. That's the job of an adjustment. So let's go through it. Let's go through it slowly. When we met this committee, then we said few things. We said in the report that we tabled that Honorable Maria Lofanyana was referring to, we said, number one, we expect all the monies that are moving Honorable Mrs. Squad to be spent by the year end on the 31st of March 2023. So anyone receiving no money now, because they came there and said, no, our area, in this area is city, we want more money. We want that money to be spent. we don't want underspending by the year end. It's because on occasion other people come in the past, they get money and don't spend it by the year end. And we gave this example of road agency Limpopo, otherwise called RAL, that in the financial year 2020-2021, they got 473 million and so on, and they couldn't spend that money by the year end. And this year, if you remember, there was a second adjustment that happened towards the end of the financial year, in which RAL was 250 million. But when the AG went to RAL, found that they couldn't spend 570 million, if you get the point. So that's why I emphasize in the report, the first item that Honorable Maharaj and Honorable Lakhanyani, who were listening in the committee, are emphasizing that point, that we want all the money that is being given to departments now, all of it to be spent, number one. And we want all people departments that receive conditional grants from national to spend those conditional grants. Precisely because if you don't spend them, as Honorable Maharaj says, they go to other provinces and we lose as Limpopo. And it's not nice. When we give the example of one grant a few years ago called Maths and Science Grant, where we spent 12% at Limpopo on Maths and Science Grant. How do you do that in Limpopo? You spend 12% on a Maths and Science Grant, and the money all of it goes to national. So that's why we say all people who receive conditional grants, they must spend all those grants. And thirdly, we said we don't want any underspending to happen by the year end. Fourthly, we said the provincial government must bring in more aggressive revenue enhancement strategies to raise more money from within the province. And fifthly, we said there must be no much spike where people don't spend now, they rush to spend when the year ends in March. So those are the few things we said. Because I want to get our open, I want to get adjustment budget, otherwise we refer to a saving budget. Let's go through it. Let's go through it slowly. Part of the history of this province.
No, you can't say can we allow Honorable Palacho to finish? Honorable Martin, Honorable Rapila.
Part of the history of this province that you are writing, you will read it in the coming period, is that this legislature and all other legislatures in the Republic of South Africa, including National Parliament, have for 28 years never been able to amend a money bill. So once the Minister of Finance or MEC for Treasury tables a money bill, you have two options: to accept it as it is or to reject it as it is. And you can amend it for now if you don't have legislation that empowers you to amend it. Say, don't give, suppose that as in Kenya 200 million, give it 37 million, you can't do that. Parliament has passed a law in 2009, Act number 9 of 2009, called Money Bills Amendment and Related Procedures Act of 2009. Money Bills Amendment and Related Procedures Act of 2009, Act number 9 of 2009. And even with that act, they don't. But they insisted. In this province, we were able to reject a money bill in total. in 2011, when the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Provincial Treasury was a fellow called, what's the guy? Honorable Sir Charles Squad, was actually the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. So in 2011, we rejected it. I don't know, the law says you accept it as it is. Because you don't have that law, that parliament has passed, money bills procedures, money bills amendment procedures, and related matters. So in 2011, I was part of that team with Squad. He was the chairperson of the Provincial Treasury. We rejected in total a money bill that the provincial government at that time had brought to the Provincial Legislature, and the year ended without it being adopted, and it went through, because you can't cross one river twice. It went through and that is history. Squad was very brave at that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kala. We shall now call upon the Honorable MEC for Provincial Treasury to come and comment to the debate made by honorable members.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Premier in the House, members of the Executive Council, members of this August House, HODs who are present this morning. Let me start off by thanking the Portfolio Committee for having guided us through this minefield. I'm saying minefield precisely because it is not easy because of the economic situation in the country, but as well in terms of the resources that we have as a province, for us to be able to reallocate resources in the province due to competing pressures that we are experiencing. The issues that have been raised by the Portfolio Committee we do take into account, firstly, the issue of the spending or underspending in conditional grants, which we believe that indeed conditional grants are meant to augment the provincial budget to the equitable share and own revenue that is allocated to this province. And therefore, we need to, by all means, make sure that we become innovative and ensure that we do spend those allocations. We are aware that in terms of conditional grants, we have very limited capacity in terms of getting the money back into the coffers of the province so that we are able to inject it into the development of the province. However, with equitable share, I think as much as we do not accept the underspending which is illegal, but we also need to thank departments for ultimately showing us that this money we are not spending and it can go back to the provincial coffers so that we are able to reallocate it to other important areas or priority areas in the province, which is able to assist us as a union. Yes, we agree that all of us need to make sure that there is no fiscal dumping. Because the fiscal dumping means that we are not getting value for money, and money is getting lost in the process because we are spending it on in areas that do not necessarily impact on the lives of the people of this province. And therefore, we do not want to accept any fiscal dumping. Hence, as the Provincial Treasury, we are working with all departments, particularly in those areas that we are aware that the risk is very high in terms of underspending, to make sure that indeed all the allocated resources are going to spend as allocated, because they have been shown as pressures, but also as priorities in those departments. And therefore, we do not foresee any department that is going to understand on the basis of whatever challenges that are there. Because we believe where we have allocated, it's in areas where departments are sure that the projects are shovel-ready. Secondly, it's the issue of the capacity of various departments to make sure that we spend. And I think we have said it during this academic appropriation that we are looking at improving our planning regime. And we have already done so. If you look at the spending in various departments, it has actually improved more than the two previous financial years, which gives us at least the confidence that we should be able to spend according to plan, but as well without any excuses that we will bring to this house that we did not spend because it was raining, because it was too hot, and so on. So we are sure that we should be able to create value for money, but also make sure that those resources are going to help and assist in terms of developing this province of Limpopo. I want to as well, Chairperson, agree that all the resources, and I think with the Executive Council as led by our Premier, we will ensure that indeed every spend, rent and cent is accounted for. And we believe that with the confidence that we have bestowed on us as the Executive Council, we should not let you down and we should not disappoint the people of this province. And therefore, this allocated funds will therefore be spent as allocated by this August House. And with those few remarks, I would like to thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable MEC. Let's move to item 7.3. Motion for the suspension of House Rule 173 by the Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And good morning to honorable members of the executive and our guests in the gallery. Honorable Speaker, House Rule 173 provides that unless otherwise provided in these rules, not more than one stage of bill may be taken on the same sitting day if objection to a further speech is made by 4 or more members. It has therefore become necessary to invoke the provision of House Rule 5 to suspend the provision of House Rule 173 in order to allow the House to finalize the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill 22 B03. I move accordingly, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. Any someone that will move? Honorable Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I, Monica Mchabi, rise to second the presentation of the motion by the Chief Whip and the adoption of the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief Whip. Motion for the third reading of the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill B02/2022 by the Honorable MEC for Provincial Treasury, MEC Squad.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now that the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill 2022 P03/2022 has gone through all the relevant stages of the legislative process of this House, I now move that the bill be read for the third time in terms of the provision of House Rule 170. I move accordingly, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. Any second? Honorable Slamlena.
Honorable Speaker, thanks very much. I move to second Honorable Squad.
Thank you, Honorable Slamlena. We'll now move to 7.5. The third reading of the Limpopo Adjustment Appropriation Bill B03/2023. We are now going to adopt schedule by schedule of the bill, and those who agree will say yeah, and those who disagree with the bill will say nay. Schedule 1, which is the definition. You are not audible enough. Schedule 1. Schedule 2, appropriation of adjusted amounts of money for requirements of province. Schedule 3, appropriation listed as specifically and exclusively appropriated. Schedule 4, which is the short title. We are now going to adopt vote by vote of the bill. Vote 1. Vote 2. Vote 3. Vote 4. Vote 5. Vote 6. Vote 7. Vote 8. Vote 9. Vote 10. Vote 11. Vote 12. We shall now call upon the Secretary to read the short title.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers. We are now moving to 7.6, consideration and adoption of the following reports of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, Committee Chair.
Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Premier and colleagues, friends, compatriots,
members of the opposition, majority members of the majority party, the African National Congress, the People's Movement, the Glorious Movement, greetings all of you. Honorable Speaker, I take this moment to table for consideration and adoption by this August House a report of Auditor-General on financial statements and performance audit of Vote 1, Office of the Premier for the financial year ending 31st March 2021. Any second? Honorable Selani.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I chair for David Selani. I stand here to support Honorable Selani.
Thank you, Committee Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Selani. Honorable Speaker, I table for consideration and adoption by this August House the report of Auditor-General financial statement and performance audit for Vote 3, Department of Education, for the financial year ending 31st March 2021. Any seconder? Honorable Pana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion stated by the Honorable Chairperson.
Committee Chair. Honorable Speaker, for the financial year ending 31st March 2021, I table for consideration and adoption by this August House the Auditor-General's report for performance and financial statement of Vote 3, Department of Agriculture. Honorable Makupesh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I stand to second the move by the Chairperson of the
Committee Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Grace. Honorable Speaker, for the financial year ending 31st March 2021, I table for consideration and adoption by this August House a report of Auditor-General on financial statement and performance audit for the Vote 5 Provincial Treasury. Any second? Deputy Chief Whip. Committee Chair. Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, for consideration and adoption by this August House, I table before you the report of Auditor-General on the financial statements and performance audit for Vote 6, Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism for the year ending 31st March 2021. Honorable Smale. Thank you, Committee Chair. Once again, Vice Smale, for consideration and adoption by this August House, Honorable Speaker, I table the Auditor-General report on financial statement and performance audit for the Department of Health, Vote 7 for the financial year ending 31st March 2021. Any seconder? Honorable Maseko. Committee Chair. Well, thank you very much, Naman. Honorable Speaker, before this House, I tabled the financial statement and audit performance report for Vote 7, Department of Health for the financial year ending 31st March 2021. Honorable Maharaj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I hereby second the motion as read by the Chair of SCOPA.
Assalamu alaikum. Committee Chair. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, salam. Honorable Speaker, before this August House, I tabled the
performance audit report and financial statement of Vote 8, Department of Transport and Community Safety for the financial year ending 31st March 2021. Honorable Mante. I know you to have a short steward voice. Committee Chair, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Marshal. Honorable Speaker, before this August House, I table for consideration and adoption the Auditor-General Financial Statement and Performance Audit for Vote 9, Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure for the year ending 31st March 2021. Any seconders? Honorable Marcel.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the move by Honorable Slater. Thank you.
Committee Chair. Honorable Marcel. Honorable Speaker, I table before this August House for consideration and adoption ending 31st March 2021 the report on Auditor-General Financial Statement and Performance Audit for Vote 10, Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Any seconders? Honorable Mkawa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I rise to second Honorable Slater.
Committee Chair. Thanks very much, Honorable Mkawa. Honorable Speaker, I table before this August House for consideration and adoption the financial statements of Auditor-General and Audit Performance Report for the financial year ending 31st March 2021, Vote 11, Department of Culture. Any second? Honorable Marcel.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the move by Honorable Slater.
Committee Chair. Once again, Honorable Marcel. Honorable Speaker, I table for consideration and adoption by this August House the financial year ending 31st March 2021, Vote 12, Department of Social Development for consideration and adoption by this August House. Any seconder? Honorable Pana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I support the motion as tabled by the Honorable Committee Chairperson.
Committee Chair.
Dr. Polana Dov. Honorable Speaker, I table for consideration and adoption by this August House the Auditor-General's reports and performance audit reports for the financial year ending 31st March 2021, Limpopo Legislature.
Any seconders? Honorable Mante.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion as presented by the Chairperson of the Committee. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Committee Chair. Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker. For consideration and adoption by this August House, I table the performance reports and audited financial statements for the year ending 31st March 2021 for Limpopo Economic Development Agency. Any seconder? The Honorable Deputy Chief Whip. Committee Chair. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much once again for the year ending 31st March 2021, I present table for consideration and adoption by this August House the financial statement on audited performance report by the Auditor-General of Limpopo Tourism Agency.
Any second? Honorable Makubeja.
Committee Chair. Hello, Honorable Speaker, for consideration and adoption by this August House for the financial year ending 31st March 2021, I table for consideration and adoption the report of Fraud Agency Limpopo by the Auditor-General.
Any second? Honorable Sion.
Committee Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, lastly, I table for consideration and adoption by this August House the performance statement and performance report and audited financial statement for the Gateway Airport Authority Limited for the financial year ending 31st March 2021.
Any second? Honorable Appeal. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Committee Chair. We shall now refer to the speakers list. The first speaker is Honorable Makoma Makubeja. It is not compulsory to use the whole 15 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Director Bolu Matibe, Honorable Shumia Chustel Matamata, Matagatabiwa, all the MCs present today, Deputy Chief Whip, Dr. Mkhonyana, the Acting Chairperson of SCOPA, Honorable Samuel, and your committees. Torre, I stand here before you on behalf of the African National Congress as we present the SCOPA report for the 2021 financial year to this August House for consideration and adoption. Honourable Speaker, this debate comes just 2 days after the debate of 2019-20 financial year report, of which 2 financial years the public hearings were held simultaneously during the same period of January 2022 and June 2022. Therefore, the debate will be focusing more on the comparison of whether auditees are improving, stagnant, or regressing. Madam Speaker, on the other hand, this debate just takes place just a day before the start of the 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children campaign, which takes place annually from the 25th of November to the 10th of December, as declared by the United Nations. The 16 days of activism focuses on raising awareness to the impact that gender-based violence and femicide has on women and children and social fabric of our society. For that reason, I dedicate this debate by calling upon all of us as leaders, as sitting in this August House, to go all out, work with other community leaders, to communicate positive messages throughout the social media and other means, messages that include not this one only, but the messages include not in my name, amongst others, so that the voices will be too many and with the same message, and can indeed go a long way to contribute to the rebuild of our social fabric and better future society for our children. Honourable Speaker, after all the public hearings that took place on the financial year 2021, the committee has made the following observations and recommendations. I will start to look at the auditees which have achieved clean audit, which is an unqualified with no matters of emphasis. Premier, we congratulate you the committee wishes to express its appreciation for both one officer of the Premier as the executive authority, the accounting officer, all the officials, for continuing to obtain a clean audit for more than one financial year. Sustaining at this level is not easy. Congratulations and well done. Vote 8, the Department of Transport and Community Safety, Honorable MEC, we take this opportunity to congratulate you for continuing to get a clean audit for the second financial year. Please keep up the good work so that you maintain the standard. But we have got concerns, I will detail it a bit later, relating to guns, because we have got challenges that we are facing. We hope this department can continue to get clean audit alone without taking gun on board. Vote 5, Department of Provincial Treasury, Honorable MEC. This department has been getting clean audit for more than 3 years now. Congratulations, well done. But we're just concerned that on your support to other departments, we still think you are lagging behind. You need to make sure that you assist them that they are right where you are. Limpopo Legislature Board, congratulations to the board and the CEO and all the team that continue to be a shining example in the province. Keep up the good work. Madam Speaker, the following auditees remain stagnant on their audit outcomes. Vote 4, Department of Agriculture. The committee has heard and considered evidence that the Department of Agriculture audit outcomes have been stagnant with unqualified audit opinion with matters of emphasis from 2017-18 financial year. The committee recommends that the accounting officer and the executive authority must be able to address some internal weaknesses which made them not to achieve. Some of those challenges that they made them to remain stagnant is understanding of the budget. The committee has heard that considered evidence that the department materially understand the 81 million on farmer support and development and sustainable resources. The other matter that made them remain stagnant is the reports investigation. The committee has heard and considered evidence that the Special Investigation Unit has instituted the investigation in terms of proclamation at the receipt of 2019 GT 42577 dated 12 July 2019 regarding the mismanagement of comprehensive agricultural support grant in supply chain management procedures. These are some of the key issues that the department must look into so that they get out of the stagnant outcome. Department of Education, the committee has heard as well that this department has been stagnant with qualified audit opinion with matters of emphasis since the year 16-17 to date. The committee recommends that the accounting officer must develop an audit action plan that must deal with those challenges that they've been there. As well, this department is still entangled by continuous fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And the committee has considered that evidence that Auditor-General was unable to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence that disciplinary steps were taken against officials who had incurred fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and this would remain recurring if no action is being done. Unauthorized expenditure, the same challenge, understanding of the grant. The committee has heard and considered evidence that the conditional grant were underspent. An amount of 303 million significant underspending was noted under infrastructure grant, and we think this will continuously to make them lag behind if the situation leave unattended. Vote 11, Corporate Governance, Settlements and Traditional Affairs. The committee has heard and considered evidence that the department remains stagnant from 2017-18 financial year. What causes them to lag behind? One of the matters that needs urgent attention is how they prepare the annual financial statements. The AG was not very happy because as and when they prepare annual financial statements, they continue to not to comply with the prescribed reporting framework that is required in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. As well as significant uncertainties that needs an urgent attention and achievement of planned targets. The committee has heard that Department of Comstar, in terms of the evidence achieved, reported in the annual performance report, materially differ from supporting evidence provided to some of the indicators. This means if not left attended will continue to make the department remain behind. Vote 9, Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, statement audit outcome from 2019-20, and their challenges relate to material underspending and overspending. The committee has heard that considered evidence that Department materially underspent the budget by 603 million on the program of roads infrastructure and overspent the budget by 16 million on the program of infrastructure operations. Therefore, if this matter left unattended, it will continue to have difficulties. Impairment of accrued financial revenue, expenditure management, and irregular expenditure. The committee has had considered evidence that the effective and appropriate steps were never taken to prevent irregular expenditure of 1.5 billion. So the committee has heard that if this matter is left unattended, the Department of Public Works will continue to not to go to the clean audit, as well as the matter of unauthorized expenditure. Vote 12, Department of Social Development. The committee has heard that this department has been stagnant on unqualified audit opinion from 1920-2021 financial years. It is affected by the irregular expenditure. The committee has heard that and considered evidence that the department has incurred irregular expenditure to the tune of 46 million in previous financial year, which is under investigation. The committee has noted with a concern that some of the big documentation for procurement and commodities designed for local content in the production, which did not stipulate the minimum threshold of local production and content as required by 2017 procurement regulations. This non-compliance was identified in the procurement of COVID-19 personal protective clothing, and this matter needs to be attended as a matter of urgency. This department, as well as the challenges relating to fruitless and wasteful expenditure, the transfer of funds. The committee has heard and considered evidence that appropriate measures were not maintained to ensure that transfer of subsidiaries to entities were applied to the intended purposes as required by Treasury regulations. The committee recommends that the accounting officer must take appropriate steps, action against officials who fail to take appropriate measures to ensure transfers and subsidies entities are applied to their intended purposes. Vote 10, Department of Sports and Culture, the statement outcomes of audit outcomes of unqualified 2019-20. The vote is caused by one of the things is the other reports on investigation. The committee has said and considered evidence that independent consultant firm is investigating allegations of possible irregularities in the procurement processes and procedures of Mapuche Arts Festival by the department covering financial year 2013 until 2016-17. The investigation was commissioned by the Provincial Legislature through the Provincial Treasury. So we recommend that this must conclude so that it doesn't affect the department in the next audit. Road Agency Limpopo, the remain statement audit on unqualified from 16-17 year to date. Because of the significant uncertainties, irregular expenditures, underspending of the budget. Limpopo Tourism Agency, the committee has noted that Limpopo Tourism Agency has been stagnant with unqualified audit opinion from 16-17 financial year to date. Due to non-achievement of planned targets, procurement and contract management, other report investigations that as well involved the Mapuche, where they were working together with the Department of I apologize, this is not relevant to this Limpopo Tourism Agency, it was relevant to the Department of Sports and Culture. Vote 7, Health. Now I'm dealing with the departments that have regressed. The first department is the 7th Department of Health. The committee has heard and considered evidence that the Department of Health audit has regressed from unqualified audit opinion matters of emphasis in 2019 to a qualified audit opinion in the 2021. Due to failure to table the annual report on time, expenditure management, irregular expenditure is increasing, to an extent that it needs to be kept at some point. Achievement of planned targets, movable tangible capital assets. It's one of the matters that needs an adaptation. Leader has regressed audit outcome from unqualified audit opinion to a qualified audit opinion in 2021 due to failure to table the annual report on time, property, plant, equipment, exceptional litigation, and material impairments, irregular expenditure, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, as well as in the previous financial year, we only had one department that had material irregularity. This time, we are receiving the second department with the Department of Health. It has regressed, and it is now having a material irregularity due to rental payment for radiology equipment that was not in use. Other reports of the investigation as well, where the public protector made some findings on the other matters, and unfortunately, the recommendations were never implemented. We are disappointed with the performance of GAD, the regression, because the committee has had and considered evidence that GAD's outcome has regressed from qualified audit opinion with matters of emphasis from 1920 to an adverse audit opinion in the 2021 financial year. The committee recommends that the accounting officer must develop the audit action plan to address the internal weaknesses with a view of obtaining a clean audit. What causes them to have regression to giving an adverse is the issue relating to property, plant, equipment, receivable from exchange, transaction, VAT, receivables, payables from transactions, revenue from exchange transaction, employee cost, material uncertainties relating to going concern, significant uncertainties, unachievement of the target, and other reports where there were investigations done by either Treasury and other institutions that were never implemented. Honourable Speaker, the committee as whole has tabled all comprehensive reports with clear resolutions that will be distributed to the departments, and therefore the committee further recommends that all members of the executive authority must table a progress report on the implementation of all resolutions to be adopted today and submit the report to both SCOPA, the affected portfolio committees, on or before the 31st March 2023. Honourable Speaker, once more, we must take this opportunity to thank the Honourable Premier for a number of key audits achieved and sustained in the manner that has been. But unfortunately, Premier, we have congratulated you so much the manner the work has been done in the previous year, financial year. We are just disappointed that moving from that, in 2021, we are seeing new emergence where God is receiving an adverse audit opinion. And we are recommending in the previous debate on Tuesday, where we are concerned about the work, the quality of the work by the accounting officers, which is, we recommend that, we request that work needs to be monitored so that we don't submit reports for the sake of compliance. Because in all the reports, what makes the AG to be very unhappy is when they made the findings and they realize that their findings are not taken serious, there is no consequence management. We therefore rely on you, Honourable Premier, and MEC for Treasury that we will be able to support the department, and indeed this anomaly will be done. I therefore take this opportunity to thank the acting chair. We must thank again the Honourable MEC Munama, who steered the ship of making sure that the SCOPA dealt with all the reports in the time that he was the chairperson of SCOPA, and now the acting chair, Honourable Slamulena, for the excellent work with your committee. And we thank all the executive committee members and the Premier for availing themselves and the commitment they showed. We indeed see that the province of Limpopo, it's now regarded by a national AG as one of the best performing provinces, and we hope even in the next audit period we will be able to improve. Honourable Kadeu, Kari, and the staff, leader team, and everybody, The committee recommends that the report be considered and adopted by this August House. Accordingly, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable George Rapila.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. Sister was listening. Thanks, Honorable Honorable Speaker. Yeah, the EFF falls on the office of the Premier to assist all provincial government departments, entities, and all municipalities to improve their audit opinions, regular unauthorized yes, wasteful expenditure, in particular, as this has a negative impact on service delivery in this requirement. For example, the Department of Education has been stagnant with a qualified audit since 2016 to date. Where is the audit action plan to address internal weaknesses with the view of obtaining exit audit opinion? Audit outcome for the Department of Education the outcome of the Department of Education has the potential to affect teaching, and then therefore correctness measures must be put in place timelessly. The EFF is disturbed by the fact that the department made payments in contravention of the supply chain management requirements, resulting in irregular expenditure stated at 5.1 billion in 2020 and 4.8 billion in 2021 to a financial statement. The department did not have adequate scheme in place to identify, report on all the irregular expenditure incurred. This audit findings is a recurring matter from 2019 financial year. It is worrisome that the bid document for procurement of commodities designed for local content production did not stipulate the minimum threshold for local production and content as required by the 2017 procurement. The EFF demands prioritization of local supplies in the procurement of commodities, but ultimately the state must abolish tenders and states and build state capacity to be able to render the services internal. Honorable MC Treasurer. Furthermore, we condemn the Department of Agriculture for underspending the 81 million Honorable Mate on farmer support and development and sustainable resource management. We commend a special investigation unit for institution and investigation in terms of proclamation number R36 of 2019 regarding the mismanagement of the comprehensive agricultural support program granted supply chain management process. Honorable Samuel Martin. The investigation was still in progress at the date of this audit report. The Department of Health must be ashamed for its audit outcomes that have progressed from unqualified audit opinion from 2019 to 2020, 2021. This month, the Trend Center for Wrong Reasons, MEC for Health, MEC of Health, must take the blame for Lancaster performance, which has plunged the department into 80 bad books. I'm not sure this is good. Under the watch, the department incurred the regular expenditure of 19.4 million. We call for the recovery any loss due to negligence by officials. EFF is not surprised that financial statements submitted for auditing were not prepared in accordance with the prescribed financial reporting framework as required by the section 440.1 of the PFM. there is a vacuum for political leadership and content management in the Department of Health. As we raised that, Honorable Premier and President. As a result, medical lawsuit claims are filing due to medical negligence done in the Limpopo public health facilities. In addition, we know that we discussed that the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure underspending its budget by the 603 million on program roads infrastructure, and overspending its budget by 16 million on programs infrastructure operation. We strongly call for the constituent management against the officials responsible for underspending this wrongdoing, compromise this the service delivery. I wonder there will be action in this department. We have been calling and there's never been anything. It is unbecoming for the department towards tenders to underserve and unqualified bidders. It's because of this never consequence management. Hence they do as they wish. This after the department awarded a 3-year contract of 40 million in September for the supply of household-based routine road maintenance to a bid that did not secure the highest bid in contravention of Section 2.1.f of the Provincial Procurement Policy Act. The non-compliance is likely to result in material financial losses as the contract value of the winning bid is higher than the bid amount of the supplier that secured, that's called the highest point. The total amount of 25 million has been paid as at the year end. We demand transparency and accountability in the procurement process. In future, the contract that unduly receives tenders must be blacklisted. The investigation report into the irregularities in the procurement processes, procedures of the Mokumuga Arts Festival was led by the Department of Sports and Culture in 2012, 2013, and 2016-17 financial years. Therefore, it must be tabled in its recommendation. I hope this is going to be done. As the EFF who are concerned about the Department of Cooperative Governance failures are very irregular expenditure as well. The department led by LBC Makama did not take effective steps to prevent irregular expenditure amounting to 404 million as disclosed in the to the annual financial statement as required by Section 38.1c of the PFMA, Treasury Regulation 9.1.123. The majority of the irregular expenditure was caused by the awarding of contracts in 2016-17 financial year without applying the financial wide system. The EFF demands a speedy investigation into the Department of Social Development after its irregular expenditures to the tune of 46,000 relating to the non-compliance that were identified in the procurement process of the COVID-19 personal protective PPE. I think.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Honorable Advocate Rudolph Kama. Extract from the law, so that I don't call you advocate when extract.
Thanks very much, the Honorable Speaker. You of course know to be a member of the legislature, you don't need to have a matric even. I'm sure you know that. You don't compete with qualification here because you don't have a matric, Honorable. The Honorable Thank you very much, the Honorable Speaker, for allowing me this opportunity to debate the 2020-2021 report of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. Those who have been following this debate of this committee in the recent years will remember, for every time I started the debate, and actually every time I started the debate, the Honorable Premier wished he could hit me with fist if it was not the legislature. Because I will open by saying what, if you remember. This provincial government is amongst the worst performing provincial governments in the Republic of South Africa. And you remember I was saying, after the Northwest, which is at the bottom even today, and the Free State, which follows it even today, there was the Limpopo province. And as I said on Tuesday, without contradiction, now you know, after the Western Cape, which is number 1, Gauteng, which is number 2, KwaZulu-Natal, which is number 3, then Eastern Cape, we get in. We, as I said on Tuesday, are amongst the best performing provincial government in the Republic of South Africa. And it's because, that's what I said on Tuesday, if you remember. It's because of the difficult work that is done by the people, as mentioned by Honorable Makurubete, and particularly the thankless work being done by the Office of Provincial Treasury, the Premier's Office and other teams. That work day and night to ensure that we get clean audits after clean audits and unqualified audit opinions. Today we are no longer near those two fellows. They are still at the bottom. If you go and look at the results, who are meeting with the general mandate, the results even show that the Northwest is still the worst performing provincial government in the Republic of South Africa, and is followed by the Free State. We have left them. And that's why we are at the top of the Republic of South Africa as one of the best performing provincial governments in relation to audits. And Makurubete has done well by doing the comparison between the two financial years we are dealing with of 2019, 2020 that we dealt with on Tuesday, and of the 2020, 2021 that we are dealing with today, on what has been the movement and the regressions and the improvements that have happened in that period. On Tuesday, I spoke at length about the performance of the departments as we did. Today, I am focusing on entities, public entities, because on many occasions, when we debate, the entities fall through the cracks, and we never focus on essentially talking about them. So I will talk about them, because the provincial entities' performance, if you look at them in the years that you are dealing with, is also uneven, as Honorable Makurubete said. There is the Limpopo Gambling Board on the extreme, which has a clean audit. I think it's the third this year. In 2022, they got the third best performing of all the entities in terms of audits. But on the other extreme, you'll find something called the GAL. And here I don't know GAL. Gateway Airport Authority Limited, which is at the other extreme, and it is not alone. It is another one called Great North Transport. They are on the extreme, as west performing entities of the provincial government. The best performing on the other extreme is the Limpopo Gambling Board. And we're talking with the legal department or this small one, but it's on Limpopo Tourism Agency, with moisturizer. If I'm lucky to perform at the level of that thing called LGB, Honorable Smart, what makes it very? It's as small as the Limpopo Gambling Board, that thing called the Limpopo Tourism Agency, but it is unable to just reach a clean audit itself and also be amongst the best performing entities in the province. Also, in relation to entities who are concerned about accumulated irregular expenditure. If you look at RAL, for instance, in the years we are dealing with, they were sitting with accumulated 4 billion. 4 billion. Because in the other year they came with 3.1 billion, and in the subsequent year they came with 900 million, and that made 4 billion. Irregular expenditure just in one entity called Road Agency Limpopo, accumulated over the years. And it's a problem that must be attended to and turned around, because irregular expenditure is one of the challenges that we are facing, that we must defeat. And as we said on Tuesday, you will remember in the past we had a problem with the other expenditures, fruitless and wasteful and unauthorized. And generally those have gone significantly down to utter minimality in relation to unauthorized expenditure. Fruitless, yeah, smaller amounts are here and there. But the one that is still huge is irregular expenditure. And that's why I mentioned here, in the year we are dealing with, RAL was sitting with 4 billion of accumulated irregular expenditure, and that must be done. Great North Transport, Mola. I don't see Honorable MEC Tamongoni here. He was on TV with some of the people who were supposed to be beneficiaries. There is an issue of an amount of 300 million pension stroke provident fund there that looks like we can't get the head or the tail of it. And I don't know what is the problem. Because when he was on TV there was people who were said to be beneficiaries of that thing that could not get it when they retired. Because usually it's a pension or provident fund, you get it when you retire at the end of your term. And if you go home and you have worked for 40 years and there's nothing to show, it's very bad even on you. And actually, if you will remember, I don't know who comes from them, maybe a Honorable Speaker. If you remember, if you are of advanced age like that and you arrive at home and you don't have a cent to show, usually you yourself ultimately die of stress and depression and things like those. Because I want to do about for Hanaka go back, I go I want to tell you guys, and usually, so it's a problem that must be, we must get the head and tail of that thing, because I can't get it when they talk about it. One of the issues therefore in this term that we are dealing with of these years is that you remember the functionality and collapse of GAL. You remember it happened in this period where GAL could not get planes landing at the Polokwane airport because things were not done right there for a long time. It was a challenge. We are interested in the progress on that matter, particularly consequence management of the people who were responsible for running that entity, including the CEO, the CFO, the board, whoever was running the place, who allowed it to collapse in that manner. We want consequences on that. There is the issue, Honorable Mrs. Kwati, of leader and guard, which in terms of Public Finance Management Act are registered as 3D business enterprises. Theoretically, in terms of the law, it means they are not supposed to get a cent from the provincial government, but we continue to give them money, if you get the point. So it's something that we must attend to and deal with, because if they are registered as 3D public business enterprises, and we will continue to give them money, at one time, the Auditor-General is going to give that money a name. If you get the point. At one time, the AG will that money available. Children from us was not Malawi, was got your challenge. And so it will have to, so we must deal with that. I talked earlier when we were doing the adjustment appropriations about the problem of untransparency. There is a problem, and I'm giving an example here now that we're talking about entities with road agency Limpopo again, that in the financial year 2021, they underspent the budget by 473 million. And in the financial year that just ended, they underspent again by 517 million. And you remember, in this province, it's a province where but and therefore, if really understand, must be paid attention so that we are able to spend the money, all of it that is supposed to be spent. Also, you are revealed earlier in relation to spending conditional grants. Maravel goes a different one. A conditional grant comes, even its name tells you what it is. It is a provincial road maintenance grant. So its name tells you what is for maintaining roads, patching potholes and bridges and things like that. But the road agency will take that money and they spend it to build new roads. And the national government a great conditional grant in English means a grant that comes with conditions attached, if you get it. And those conditions, amongst them all, the money will be spent for the purpose for which it is intended. You won't take it, that money, and do something else with it. So in this case, money comes for a long time, and that money is called Provincial Road Maintenance Grant. And even the name tells you what it is. But the RAL takes the money and spends it on something else. So, never spending conditional grants is another problem that we must deal with and defeat so that we don't have problems going forward with other people. The other key point here, on occasion you find that the irregularity that happened at the entity has been done by the board. And we have never seen action against a board. And that's what we want. We have written that in the resolution for it. Legal, it's a legal person. Scientific, you know, Mara Premier was there, Honorable Mrs. Squad, Akile Najira, our over instruction, our action must be taken against the board. Consequence management. Scott, you are or no, I will lash the board. Premier, our request right. Lash the board. And I can't meet that it's not a joke. Scott will tell you. Can't meet that but and Scott tells them, Lena, I'm here to lash you. But then claim you are never rejection Squad against the board. Squad, you are our tabulation the board. That's why Chris was free at that time, but that's exactly the point. The point is that we want consequences even on boards. If they don't do things right, action must be taken on them so that they are able to act correctly and properly. So those are the key issues, Honorable Speaker, that we will take in relation to boards. I said today I will focus on the boards and on the entities in the province because on Tuesday I spoke a mouthful about the provincial departments. I take this opportunity to thank you, the Honorable Speaker. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Honorable Jacobus Mande.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. You see, sometimes when you take brave decisions in 2011, you forget how to become brave. You need to get that boldness back, you know. Sometimes we lose clean orders and we get them back. I'm sure you can get your papers back. You will work on that. Honourable Premier and MECs, various HODs, members in the gallery, honourable members. The responsibilities and duties of accounting officers and authorities are well defined in the Public Finance Management Act and other enabling legislations, which are all underpinned by the basic values and principles of governing public administration as set out in our Constitution. When we evaluate 2020-2021 financial audits, it is one that we are concerned about. Our province did improve under the leadership of the MEC Mokone when we moved the debt into the space of a clean audit. And it's clear that the political administration and the administrative arm of that department worked extremely well to make sure that we do get to the audit and dealing with the AG's qualifications. But however, the province overall outcomes regressed from the previous year with four departments, namely our very own, the Provincial Legislature, Honourable Speaker, the Department of Health, LEADER, and GOG, that regressed after showing significant improvement in the previous year. It is clear that when things go well, to maintain that clean audit, people forget what it took to keep us there. And that is the one thing that we should be learning. In the previous general report, the AG reported on the importance of having a strong control environment and implementing recommendations to sustain the improvement of those outcomes. Those audit keys that regressed were slow to respond to the AG recommendation from the previous years. And we noted that action plans developed to address internal control weaknesses were not properly monitored by accounting officers, internal audits, and audit committees to prevent. Gateway Airport Authority Limited and the public entities' financial reporting checks and balances, a total collapse in governance structures, and instability in its leadership. The position of the CFO was vacant for the entire financial year. And when an official was appointed by Treasury to act in those positions later on, those people were also later suspended and later dismissed. The Chief Executive Officer was also suspended, and an official was then seconded to act in his position and passed away during the initial stages of that audit. The public entity also did not have internal audit units, audit committee, or accounting authority, all of which important assurance to responsibilities of a financial reporting chain. During the 2019-2020 years, 13 departments racked up 3.374 billion rand of irregular expenditure. The three main culprits were public works, with 1.59 billion rand, RAL with 734 million rand, and education with 468 million. The committee had expectations that processes of accountability and or condonment into these irregularities would have commenced. Regrettably, it was SCOPA who needed to remind the executive of the requirements of the PFMA. The 1.73 billion rand of irregular expenditure in the province mainly resulted from conditional grants not being used for the intended purposes, and 1.6 billion rand in non-compliance with supply chain management regulations. In the case of the former, the irregular expenditure at the Provincial Department of Public Roads and Infrastructure, where the funds were transferred to the Department Public Entity, RAL did not adhere to the spending requirements in that division of that conditional grant. It is unacceptable that the entity deliberately continues to define these regulations, not just that year, Honourable Paula, but for the last 5 years, this entity continues to be reckless when it comes to the expenditure of conditional grants. Only 6 auditees, 32%, submitted financial statements that did not require material adjustment. This indicates that 13 auditees places the provincial leadership at risk for making incorrect decisions based on misleading and inaccurate financial information based on the information at hand. Good internal controls are essential to ensure that accomplishments of goals and objectives. They provide reliable financial reporting for the management decisions. Honourable Premier and MEC, it is therefore unacceptable that 68% of our departments and entities do not conform to good financial principles. The Portfolio Committee recommended to the executing authority to take appropriate actions against these accounting authorities for the failure to submit financial statements in accordance with the prescribed reporting frameworks as required by Section 55(1) and B of the PFMA. Fruitless and wasteful expenditure increased to 662 million rand and included a loss of 5 million rand for goods not delivered and incorrect awarding of contracts. No efforts have yet been made to recoup these lost funds. In the 21-22 financial year, National Treasury allocated 68.8 billion rand to provincial government departments, but the departments only spent 97.2% of that budget. Just over 1.2 billion rand had to be returned to Treasury. This is a gross disservice to the people of Limpopo. With billions having been underspent, citizens are receiving the short end of this aid. The following departments did underspend on their various grants. In the Department of Education with 523 million, Health 570 million, Social Development 72 million, the Premier's Office 16 million, the Legislature 45 million, Agriculture 98 million, Treasury 14 million, Public Works and Roads and Infrastructure 226 million, Economic Development and Environment and Tourism 8.4 million, Transport and Community Safety 40 million, Cooperative Governance and Human Settlement and Traditional Affairs 474 million, Sports, Arts and Culture 53.9 million. Underspending has a negative impact on our economic growth, employment creation, fighting poverty and inequality, and have a harsh consequences on the people's lives, especially for those who really rely on public services. The executive needs to start prioritizing services to the people by trimming the fat and capacitating departments to ensure that they meet their budgetary targets and that the needs of the people are met. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Honourable Simon Mante.
majority party, the African National Congress, and of course members of the minority parties receive our revolutionary greetings. Let me join the others and thank the speakership for providing this platform to reflect on the path traversed during the past financial year in our attempts to improve service delivery in an accountable, transparent, and honest manner. Of course, utilizing the micro resources that have been so drastically reduced as a result of the ailing economy, COVID-19 pandemic, fraud, and corruption, among others. Our responsibility in this regard has been clearly spelled out in the Public Finance Management Act and other enabling and relevant legislations. These legal prescripts are and the accompanying values and ethics that govern the entire public service are anchored on the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which in this regard becomes the supreme law. We presumably have the ability to identify the root causes of service delivery failures and accordingly work out the most effective ways to turn the tide around. We all agree that the public is now more vigorous and vigilant when it comes to service delivery. This is occasioned by the harsh realities of unemployment, inequality, and poverty, and that confront people. We have seen that in instances where there is improved service delivery, these are accompanied by effective controls and systems in place to plan, measure, monitor, and account for finances, performances, and to comply with the regulations. Financial accountability, achievement of planned targets, compliance with legislation, sound asset and movable asset management, decreases in unauthorized, irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditures, among others, will put our departments and entities on a sound trajectory towards the attainment of clean audit outcomes and improved service delivery. But of course, Honorable Speaker, we understand that the employment contract, normally the employment contract of executive management, is informed by the prescripts of the labor relations management. And to a certain extent, that particular employment contract, its duration is prescribed for 5 years. But for that 5 years, the employment contract is also informed by the performance contract. So for that 5 years to be absolute, it means that you have to achieve the provisions and agreements in relation to the performance contract. And failure to achieve, therefore it means that that particular 5-year employment contract is not absolute. And there is what we call termination out of necessity, which effectively means that in our employment contracts, part of the conditions in the performance contract should be attainment of clean or at least unqualified audit option. And failure to do that must result in what we normally refer to as termination of the contract out of necessity. And that cases of that nature are recorded and reportable where termination of employment contract was done out of necessity. Failure to achieve all the above undermines our democracy. Failure to achieve clean audit undermines our democracy. The Auditor-General, when presenting a report last year, indicated that Limpopo province is one of the provinces that have improved in terms of audit. And the Auditor-General this morning, depending on which radio station you listen to, on Radio 2000 this morning also praised the performance of Limpopo in terms of how we are able to zoom in certain areas in terms of combating corruption and so on. So therefore, the obtainment of a clean audit is a non-negotiable. Departments like education, health, public works, roads and infrastructure, agriculture and rural development, coastal, social development, sports, arts and culture, and state-owned entities like RAM, LEADER, GAL, as previously indicated by other speakers before me, are plagued by these failures in one way or the other. Are plagued by these failures in one way or the other. All these departments and entities, for example, have remained in stagnant audit outcomes for more than 3 to 4 successive financial years. Others have even regressed. All of them have adverse findings when it comes to the preparation and submission of financial statements. And part of the key and core responsibilities of a chief financial officer is to prepare the financial statement. And once you have an adverse finding in relation to presentation of financial statements, and therefore, Honorable Squad, it means we have people, we have capacity or people with financial skills and knowledge. And that is where the question of training comes in. Because you cannot outsource your key responsibilities. Like what we are seeing in local government, where the development of financial statements becomes an outsourced function. Credible financial statements are an enabler for accountability and transparency, and failure to submit such statements makes it difficult for anyone to formulate an opinion on the financial health of any institution. They all fail to submit financial statements in line with the relevant and prescribed financial reporting framework. Such statements were full of serious financial misstatements. Most of these bodies are repeat offenders in this area. They are not rehabilitated. Performance plans are a simple depiction of what departments and entities are intending to deliver during the upcoming period. Government institutions account to the public and other stakeholders through their annual and quarterly reports, which indicate whether the set targets have been achieved or not. Oversight bodies make use of these reports to hold institutions accountable, but also to support them. They also help in the early detection of service delivery gaps, needs for budget reprioritization, and potential for failure to perform. The Department of Coastal and Education, for example, failed to provide evidence of achievements reported in the annual performance report. Together with public infrastructure, agriculture and rural development as key elements towards economic recovery after the devastation caused by COVID-19. Certainly, the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development underspent its budget on farmer support and development. The same applies to the Department of Education, which also underspent on infrastructure grant and the National School Nutrition Program. While Limpopo is still part of the provinces where we still have majority of our kids attending classes under 3s, but yet we underspent on infrastructure. Underspending was also discovered at the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Roads Agency Limpopo underspent its road infrastructure and maintenance budget during the period under review. The strength of underspending is recurring in many of our departments and entities. Taking all the above into consideration, it is apparent that the road ahead is long. Advantageously, we have partners and role models that can help us to navigate the journey. The Provincial Treasury, Limpopo Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, and the Office of the Premier, the Department of Transport and Public Safety, and the Limpopo Gambling Board are sharing examples of what can be achieved if the leadership displays commitment to the task at hand. Certainly, the broad and consistent good audit outcomes have not filtered through the other departments and entities, most of whom have the biggest impact on service delivery and economic recovery. This may mean that there is a reluctance to share best practices and transfer skills, and of which that is not true. We urge all the institutions that are still lagging behind to emulate these good examples and do everything that they have done in order to arrive at the clean audit outcomes. And arriving at clean audit outcomes shall remain a non-negotiable. We call upon all departments and agencies to implement some of the remedial actions that may have been suggested by various oversight bodies, including the Auditor-General, SCOPA, and portfolio committees. Action plans to battle with internal controls must be monitored and continuously reviewed to identify and fill gaps. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Honorable Rebecca Siono.
Providing me with the opportunity to address this August House and to deal with one of the most critical challenges facing all government spheres in our country and the province. This is the challenge of accounting to the general public about what we have done to achieve the shared and common goal of freeing our people from the triple challenges of inequality, unemployment, and poverty, utilizing hard-earned taxes and other resources that they have confidently placed in our hands. This task of accounting is taking place when service delivery is in the spotlight like never before. So we must know that the people are watching with much vigor and vigilance. Honorable Speaker, the 2020-2021 audit outcomes built on the work that was done in the previous financial year, which is 2019-2020. We have confidently declared that the past financial year was marked by improvements in audit outcomes of many government departments and entities. This year we concur with the AG that we must accelerate improvements and accountability while at the same time sustaining and retaining the clean audit status that some of our institutions achieved previously. Sustaining clean audit status is not easy. It requires that the financial and performance management systems are transparently, honestly, and credibly accounting for what transpired during the period under review. This is not also an easy task, considering that the period under review was characterized by struggling economy, huge budget cuts, reprioritization, emergency and unplanned spending, occasioned by the imperative and responding to COVID-19 pandemic, which was in full swing. Honorable Speaker, we applaud the Office of the Premier, the Provincial Treasury, the Limpopo Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, and the Limpopo Gambling Board for being resilient during these trying times. These institutions remain focused and refuse to be detracted and ultimately retain their hard-earned audit status. They were able to ensure that good financial management and accounting do not suffer. They were able to spend limited available funds wisely. These institutions retained and improved their audit outcomes by working hard on their governance and compliance obligations. Notably concerning is that there is repeat failure by most of our institutions to extricate themselves from the stagnant audit outcomes. As with the previous years, we are still seeing government bodies and entities failure to implement previous standing committee on public accounts and other house resolutions, failure to comply with legislation, especially in procurement and contract management, inadequate consequences management, poor asset and movable or tangible asset management, failure to prepare and submit annual financial statements within the prescribed period and comply with the prescribed framework. Honorable Speaker, the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, Cooperative Governance, Human Settlement and Traditional Affairs are stagnant in their audit outcomes. The Department of Health and entities like the Gateway Airport Authority Limited and Limpopo Economic Development Agency have regressed, having obtained an adverse and qualified audit opinion respectively. This is a worrying situation and something must be done. Urgently, in a layman's language, a qualified audit outcome means that the recipient of that outcome failed dismally to manage and account for its finances. Its financial statements cannot be relied upon due to material misstatements. Again, we continue to observe skyrocketing increases in unauthorized, irregular, and fruitless and wasteful expenditure and failure by government departments and entities to implement their performance plans and achieve their stated targets. All these maladies and others are all contributed in different ways to the failure by many of our departments and entities to attain better audit outcomes. Honorable Speaker, state-owned entities and key service delivery departments like the Departments of Health, Education, Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure are continuously experiencing serious difficulties when it comes to non-compliance with legislation with regards to procurement, in unpaid contract management and awarding of contracts to government employees or their family members without proper disclosures, among others, compounding this is the accompanying lack of consequence management by both the oversight bodies and the executive authorities. These departments account for a sizable share of the budget and are at the center of service delivery, yet they have the poorest financial health, accounting for large percentage of unauthorized, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. All these are expenditures made without reasonable care and an increase in these expenditures in a clear sign of the poor financial health of departments and entities. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, coming from COVID-19 era, we know that in order for the province and the country generally to recover from the mayhem, there must be improved service delivery by these departments, especially the Department of Public Works. Infrastructure is key to our economic recovery. Yet, these departments and public entities are still hamstrung by inability to perform. All these and other misdemeanors can be ill-afforded, more so at a time when limited resources are available and the demand for service delivery is high. We expect this to see and hear success stories of losses being recovered, internal controls being improved, and consequences being effected. The institutions and entities that succeed did so because there was direct involvement and commitment by the relevant authorities across the board in the implementation of resolutions and proposed internal control measures. In certain instances, this was also a result of leadership stability in these bodies. We urge other entities and departments to emulate and learn from them. I thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much. The last speaker will be the chair of the committee to come and close the meeting. Honorable Stanley.
Honorable Premier, Honorable Speaker Kulani, Honorable Deputy Speaker and the presiding officer today, Masanda Ustere Makibe, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, and the Chief Whip of this August House, Honorable Napoleon, Leader of Government Business, Kadra, members of the Executive Council of our beautiful province, Chair of the Chair, Deputy Chair of Chairs, and other chairperson of committees, members of the Committee on Public Accounts, accounting officers, chief financial officers, friends, compatriots, I once again take this opportunity to appreciate this similar honor of closing a marathon of public hearings of the 2020-2021 financial years in this August House as we debate them today. It is indeed a honor and a privilege, Honorable Premier, to close this debate. Honorable Premier, in the eastern stage of the Highgate Snake in North London, lies a tomb there. And on that particular tomb, and I think there are 90% chances that yourself, maybe Honorable Pala, maybe Honorable Nama, Honorable Fushielo, might have visited that tomb. Because that is the tomb where a great mind that influenced the revolutions of the 21st century, Honorable Pala, lies a great man there. And that man is called Karl Marx. And I know for sure there is no possibility that myself and Chabiwa and this Makam would have visited there. But I know for sure that Honorable Rushieno, Honorable Nama, Honorable Pala, at least Honorable Slano, and yourself, Honorable Premier, there is 90% possibility that you visited there. But for myself, even Honorable myself more than Honorable Makam, I think myself into the Honorable Naga would have visited, Honorable Maraga would have visited that tomb. But that's the tomb of Karl Marx. And on that tomb, on top of that tomb, it is written that workers of the world must unite. But important for this debate is not what is written on top, but it's what is written beneath. On that tomb beneath, it is written that philosophers have hitherto interpreted the world in so many ways. What is left is to change it. I'm not saying these colleagues to want to sound too much historical or revolutionary, because I may not be. But I'm saying these honorable members and compatriots to send a message that all that which has to be done has long been said, in as far as these hearings are concerned. Honorable Pala, Honorable Mapurpeta, Honorable Rapena here, Honorable Smale, Honorable Sono, Honorable Simon Syria, and all other members have come here and articulated what, yes, Honorable Martin. They have all come and told you what is to be done. But not only them, Honorable Opinion. The Auditor-General has said that. The Provincial Treasury has said that to our accounting officers, to our members of the executive. We have all said that. The Standing Committee on Public Accounts has said that. You conducted various workshops and so forth to say all these things. Now, the work that is remaining, Honorable Parliament, is to do that which has to be done. The world has been interpreted before us. The audit opinions have come before us. We know them. All we have to do is to go and implement those resolutions so that we can have better audit opinions. So that's the reason why I'm not a Marxist. I just thought that it will be important to cite what is written there, because what is written there becomes very, very relevant that we have interpreted the word, we have said all these things. And when Marx wrote that in Peasants of Juba, Honorable Palm, he was referring to a situation where we must not continue to give rhetoric, but we must now start action. Hence, that statement and many other statements that Marx made have come to influence the main revolutions that we have seen there, including our own national democratic revolution. Now, Honorable Pala, the books that I read says, and one of the speeches there says, Honorable Pala, that, and it is a speech delivered by the former National Executive Committee member of the African National Congress, who was a member then in 1978, delivering a lecture in Ottawa, Canada, and that was President Wake, and that speech was later transcribed by Paulo Jordan and cascaded into SCOPA in 1979, the SCOPA volume issue of March 1979. And in that speech, President Bey, as then was NEC member of the African National Congress, says, if the injunction out of nothing comes, follows, it then follows, if out of nothing comes, it then follows that the future derives its impulse and is born out of the womb of the present. Now, I'm making this call, Honorable Premier, to say to you, it is not by mistake that we today celebrate the fact that we are doing well with audit opinion. It is the commitment that we came here and made 4 years ago in this August House on the 24th of February, when you committed this provincial government that you will run a government that is accountable, you will run a government that, and I'm quoting what you said, that you commit as provincial government to accountability to prudent and effective use of provincial resources. Close quote. Now, indeed, out of nothing comes. it doesn't come, Honorable Manaka, as an act of an accident where we are. It comes out of those particular commitments and effort. But of course not limited to that, but inclusive of all these other efforts that Honorable Power spoke of when he came here. So it is important. But key, Honorable Premier, is that as much as we commend you and really giving you the round of applause and salutations that you deserve with your government, we remain worried about certain aspects that Honorable Members spoke about. And one of the things that Honorable Smale came here and spoke about is the regression that we have noted in this financial year, Honorable Smale. And the regression relates to Honorable Kuna, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker and the Chief Whip. We have come here on Tuesday and spoke about the importance of leading by example and walking our talk. It can't be that as a standing committee on public accounts, we have the House of Presidency. But equally, Honorable Premier, we must do everything in our powers to arrest the regrets. Because this regret is not attended, they have a sharp propensity of taking us from where we do not want to go. We know the past where we come from. We know that we are from the past, Honorable Premier, where we had disclaimers. We have the past. Our past is not necessarily written in good words. We are here now writing the present, out of which the future must be born with capital gold letters. And we must be jealous to guard against any other thing that they sought or seek to reverse these good efforts that we put over the past 10 years or so. Now, honorable members, one of the areas, as we have said, that concerns us is the issue relating to irregular expenditure. We can never tolerate, honorable members, irregular expenditures. Honorable Ramakane, the irregular expenditure we've spoken about it on Tuesday in your department. Honorable Rapan is not here. In both this Department of Public Works, Road and Infrastructure, and also in the road agency Limpopo, I think Honorable Pan has spoken about. Something needs to be done about it. Non-compliance to supply chain processes is one of the critical concerns that the Auditor-General continues to flag before us as a standing committee on public accounts, and it's something that we must do. Honorable Premier, we have said here on Tuesday, and we have said that to Cabinet was here opting on your behalf that the investigation, especially that most of this investigation lies in his office, needs to be finalized. Because if you check some of these departments which are not getting proper audit outcomes, it's because of this pending investigation. Let's close this investigation so that we define a new path, we define a new road of how the future must be about and how the future must look like. Now, I have said here on Tuesday that that I also speak about departments that do not implement the House resolution. And Honorable Ramakane, your department is one of those departments that are not necessarily implementing House resolutions, and I think you need to look into that. If you look in the year under review, the financial year ending 21st March 2021, we had 15% of implementation of resolution. And you must look into the interrelationship between the audit outcome versus the implementation of House resolution. On the same year, over the years, we have the NTTS and the Limpopo Gambling Board having implemented 100% of its resolution and being audit. And when we do not implement our resolution, and you see what then happens, we do not want to re-emphasize that. The litigation, Honorable Premier, is one of the things that we need to speak about. The litigation as they stand, as by the end of this financial year, we're standing at 13.748 billion rand in rents. 13.748 billion rand in rents. Now, the implication is that if you check what becomes our annual budget, total provincial budget, and you want to relate it with our litigation or this amount of litigation, we are becoming to deal with our liquidity. And it's something that we need to look at and put into place mechanism that will ensure that we address that. We need to do that, and especially in the Department of Health. The Department of Health remains on top. One of the areas that is of concern is the area relating to collection of revenue by entities and departments. And the culprits here remain the Department of Health and Department of Public Roads and Infrastructure, which continue to make us lose revenue by not collecting as projected. Now we need to look into that. Honorable members have spoken about the performance of entities, and to single out the Great North Transport and GAL remains very, very important for us. Gateway Airport Authority Limited. Honorable Premier, one of the greatest socialist scholars of a romantic era English, William Blake writes in his poem The Tiger, and he asked the question to the tiger that it is the same God that created you, the same God that created the lamb. The lamb so smart, the lamb so quiet, the tiger so rude. But it's the same God that created the tiger, the same God that created the lamb. Now, is it the same legislation that creates GAL, the very legislation that creates Limpopo Game Board? If we are to paraphrase that point. And, Honorable President, if indeed it is the same God that created GAL, the same God that created Limpopo Game Board, if it is the same God, Honorable President, it then follows that where Limpopo Game Board is where GAL must be, and that's non-negotiable. Maybe I must repeat. If the same legislation, the same government that created Gateway Airport Authority Limited is the same government that created the Limpopo Game Board, therefore there is no excuse on our Premier why Limpopo Gateway Airport Authority Limited cannot have the same audit opinion as Limpopo Game Board coming. Maybe paraphrasing that, we must also ask whether the same God that created Squad or the same Squad that rejected the budget is the same Squad that terrorized the board. Now, Honorable Premier, as I did towards conclusion, when you got involved in the struggle for national democracy, which is called the National Democratic Revolution, of which you taught us, Honorable Pala, that it is creating about the National Democratic Society, that you practicalize in government into, and summarize it into the Limpopo Development Plan and National Development Plan as that of creating a capable and developmental state. Now, we can only, and I think Chapter 13 of the National Development Plan speaks about creation of a capable and developmental state. Now, we can never create a capable and developmental state for as long as we have an audit outcome as we have in Gateway Airport Authority Limited. Because the fulcrum, as I've said on Tuesday, upon which a developmental state can be built and created, Honorable Premier, is that of accountability, efficient, effective, prudent use of financial resources, as you have summed it, Honorable Premier, in your speech that the State of the Province addressed on the 24th of February 2021 in this August House, where Honorable Pala was wearing his hat. Now, we have to create that because our forebears will never forgive us if we are to abandon the cause of the National Democratic Revolution of creating that society that knows no race, society that knows no gender segregation, the society that is based on principle of prosperity. And that society which is democratic and united, which must then give birth to that national democratic society where the state is capable and developmentally approached, using a transformative part to empower the people. The fulcrum for that is and can only be accountability, accountability, and accountability. Now, in conclusion, we really want to, as we close this round of debates, we want to appreciate the Auditor-General of South Africa for the continuous work that they continue to do relentlessly, tirelessly, without fear or favor. That when we're down, they told us that we're down. And that when we're doing good, they continue to tell us that we're good. I must say, Honorable Premier, we've noted some crooked tendencies, but at least we're able to leave this bad when we started. With Honorable Nama, that some departments wanted to play some hide and seek type of a game where they want to come to the committee and want to play Auditor-General and dispute the outcome in our meeting. And at least we have leave that on the back, and we want to say to all those who ever tried that, never to try it again. Now, in the same way, we want to commend the tireless team of Limpopo Legislature, researchers, members and admin of all committees, not only limited to SCOPA, but all committees, because it's all the coordinators of the committee, all committees that make sure that the department provide all the necessary information that we need as and when we need that information. We thank you, Makaja, for making sure that the members of the executive, the chief financial officers and the accounting officers continuously avail themselves to this committee when we want them. We have never had, we have chased others at 4 o'clock in the morning and requested them to be there at 10 in the morning, and they were there. So we never had a problem where we need to use a yoke to bring about members to the committee. Provincial Treasury, for the continuous work we continue to do, and we have implored on you, Governor Pratier and Director General, Mr. Chaveli, that the best practices that are happening in your departments must translate on our premier into other departments and other entities. We've said that we want to repeat it here, and we'll continue to thank you. For we believe in this work, Honorable President. For this work of the people of accountability is the people of the Lord. We shall not be weary. We shall run, as Isaiah said, and not be weary. We shall work, and our legs will never be faint. For we know we are doing the work of the Lord, and that's the work of the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chairperson of the committee. I didn't know that you are a pastor. I'm knowing it today. Thank you very much, Honorable Stamler, for closing the debate. We shall now call upon the members of the executive to come and respond. We are giving them 2 minutes each. The only order is that the Premier will be the last one to comment. So we must start there, Honorable Ruru Ramakanya, moving there, and then the Premier will be the last one. It's 2 minutes each. 2 minutes. Two minutes is 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to greet our Honorable Premier, the leader of business, my colleagues, MECs, and the members of this August House this morning. the HODs and all members in attendance in the gallery. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I think I should start by saying, as the chairperson of the SCOPA did indicate, that the same God that has made the Department of Treasury, OTP, Transport has indeed created education. And in that same vein, will have to prevail, as Isaiah has said. But we want to indicate that we note the importance of implementation of the House rules as the Department of Education, and the resolution indicated by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts are appreciated and taken seriously and will be implemented. The main contributing factor is inadequate monitoring on the implementation of the remedial action. The department has reviewed the root causes, and this will ensure that monitoring is adequate. Management who has transgressed the PFMA prescripts are held liable based on the investigation reports. Appointment of additional officials in internal control unit will improve our compliance and we are. The accounting officer, as we speak, is ensuring that all outstanding SCOPA resolutions are being implemented. There is a plan thereof. The AG action plan has been reviewed and is monitored monthly through the executive meetings. The department has developed plans to ensure that conditional grants are fully spent as well. Implementing agents, we have met with them and we have discussed progress, and we are meeting them monthly to make sure that we are spot on in terms of spending the grants and also on infrastructure. However, I should indicate, Honorable Deputy Speaker, that as the Department of Education in Limpopo, we are not aware of any students who are writing exams under the tree. That was an article on the newspaper and they have withdrawn thereof. The material irregularities have been resolved, and as there is no law regarding the non-compliance caused by the Section 100. And with that, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we note all the debates that the committee has debated this morning. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Department of Education and thank the chairperson and the committee and the outgone chairperson on the support, and they were very, very patient with us as the Department of Education when we appeared in front of SCOPA, and we want to thank you for providing leadership for us to be able to understand our responsibilities towards the NDR. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We must follow the same protocol of 2 minutes. I didn't call it 2 minutes, Honorable Director. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and greetings to our Honorable Premier, members of the Provincial Executive Council, and all members of this august House. Chairperson, let me indicate that you are not supposed to know that somebody knows God by being ordained to be a pastor. I think what we need to learn from Honorable Slamule is that there were parents who did their best when raising their children, they raised them properly. But unfortunately, when you reach 21, you have to be on your own. And you see them now, maybe no longer going to the house of the Lord. God taught us through His word that if we are to progress in life, in all areas of life, we have to live according to the rules. I think I want to compare with the chairperson of the SCOPA committee that where there are rules, we must comply. It happened with Adam and Eve when they violated the rules. There were consequences. And I think as members of the Executive Council, under the leadership of the Premier, we will try our best to make sure that where there are wrongdoings, there are consequences. Honorable Speaker, we welcome the inputs by honorable members on the audit report of the Department of Transport and Community Safety for the financial year ending in March 2021. It gives us a great sense of joy that for this period, the Auditor-General gave us a clean bill of health, meaning that there were no findings of any fundamental material flaws on how we had spent public funds. Honorable Speaker, on the Gateway Airports Authority Limited, we have had our share of problems. While we have had our fair share of problems which are emanating from lack of proper governance because of an inconsistent board of directors. Our problems have always been caused by lack of stability in the entity as a result of the composition of the board. But for this period, a proper board was constituted with required skills and expertise to run operations of the entity. And we can proudly report to this August House that the board, since its inception, managed to save the entity from total collapse, and they are working hard to improve the audit outcome. We will keep on monitoring the board on how it discharges its fiduciary duties and oversight function. Honorable Speaker, the board has managed to develop a turnaround strategy that seeks to fast-track improvements and expedite the corrective measures that we want to employ to improve our operations. The turnaround strategy, which is the product of thorough engagement with relevant stakeholders, and the success of that turnaround strategy to get GAL to operate as per its mandate. The success of the strategy relies on the support of this August House. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Lekana, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The Honorable Premier Shugu Mataja Kabirwa, Leader of Government Business, my colleagues from the Executive Committee, Honorable Members, our HODs and officials converging to this August House. Let me take my 2 minutes, Deputy Speaker, to indicate that from the Department of Sport, Art and Culture, starting with the issue of the statement of the audit opinion, to indicate that we have taken various steps, the systems are put on place to make sure that we implement all the issues raised by the Auditor-General. The audit action plan has been developed, and we were also able to implement all the resolutions brought forth by the House, the internal audit, the audit committee, and of course the SCOPA. And we were also able to make sure that we strengthen the finance unit to make sure that they assist the accounting officer in our endeavor to attain the clean audit. And suffice to indicate that on the issue of the material misstatement, as the department, of course, we were able to deal with all the material misstatement as alluded to by the Auditor-General. One of them being the issue of the contingency liability. We were able to increase the amount that we put on the report to be submitted to the Auditor-General and increase it with the interest as alluded to by the Auditor-General, that we must include both the capital amount together with the interest, and that we have been able to correct. That is the reason why, Deputy Speaker, we were able to move from the qualified to the unqualified. And on the other issue of the concern raised by Honorable Makumeja, of course, on the issue of the implementation of the forensic audit on the Mapunguve Festival conducted between the years 2013 to financial year 2013-14 and 2017-18. Let me indicate that we have implemented all the resolutions as highlighted by the forensic auditors and made sure that the consequence management is applied to those who are found to be on the wrong side of the law. The expulsions and the suspensions were effected, and on the issue of the service provider, of course, who happened to have flawed the supply chain management. We sourced the assistance from the attorneys to make sure that they assist with the issue of the recovery of the money loss. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nana. 2 minutes still applies.
Thanks very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Honorable members of this House, Honorable Premier of our province, my fellow members of the Executive Council, chairpersons of the committees, members of this August House, the leader of the business. I wonder why they are giving a person their own standing ovation, whereas that was my speech as a chairperson. Because it's still acting, it means that there is a chairperson, and that chairperson is still me. Accounting officers who are present here, the accounting authorities, thanks very much for the opportunity. I think, colleagues, it is in the spirit and the decorum and the presidium of this House that the issue of accountability cannot be reduced to something else. It is in that spirit of the accountability ecosystem that at all material times, as members of the Executive Council, we have that constitutional mandate and responsibility to account to the legislative body. It is in that context that we are taking note of those things. You will reckon, Honorable Pana, that you back more on the issue of the public entities, but also you have isolated a good story through Limpopo Game Report. And I don't want to come and appear before you as the executive authority responsible for some of these public entities, because you'll make a feast out of me. So I'm making that commitment that we'll do everything possible to ensure that we implement all the audit remedial actions isolated by AG, not by yourselves, because those are the issues that have been raised by the AG, not by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. And we really appreciate the good work that you are doing to ensure that the public funds are prudently being utilized for the benefit of the public that we all of us serve. And we want to take this opportunity to say the issues that we have sharply raised around Limpopo Tourism Agency, the stagnation, the regression of leader, and all these shenanigans and issues relating to GNT, the non-adherence to the statutory obligation will definitely address those matters, and on a continuous basis will be reporting to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Sulamule, and also will come back to your committee to come and account. Thanks very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ganyan. Honorable Swati, today is your day from bean break to tongue lashing. You can come and make your comments.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, members of the Executive Council, members of this August House, and our HODs, DG Province. Honourable Speaker, let me say that firstly, I might have to get a few minutes, an hour or so, because I have to represent my colleagues who are not here today due to other equally important engagements as members of the Executive Council. Firstly, to start with COPSTA, where Makabu was here, I believe that we have all registered his presence, who is running late to one of the provinces in Tata in the Eastern Cape, who requested that I should respond on his behalf in terms of the observations made in terms of COPSTA relating to the preparations of the financial statements and also the performance of infrastructure and understanding the department, which the Honourable NEC had said that they are going to make sure that in terms of correcting such, they will have a plan of action which will then be reported frequently to make sure that there is a proper oversight from the committee but also from this House to make sure that we are able to firstly ensure that there is a proper plan in terms of infrastructure and ensure that there is spending to make sure that we do not continuously have a recurrence of underspending. That is from the Department of COPSTA, and we have as well the Department of Health in the province, wherein we have raised issues that relate to also spending, but also in terms of internal controls, which we believe that we should be able to deal with, particularly because the Department of Health and Education are those biggest departments that are actually consuming most of the budget allocated to this province. And we believe that in terms of the risk that is there, we should be able to continuously minimize it, but also with the digitization of some of the files, but also information within the department, we believe that that should be able to lower the risk that is there in terms of the legal consequences that we are looking at. But also, I think in terms of the report as a Provincial Treasury, we are aware that we have got a responsibility in terms of the transversal mandate, and we are believing that together with the Office of the Premier and this House, we should be able to work together to make sure that we are able to ultimately make sure that the resolutions that are taken by SCOPA, we are able to follow them up and make sure that we are able to ultimately resolve these issues. So I think in terms of the report, we have seen that the AG also point fingers at us, those that are coordinating departments and institutions, that we should be able to as well hold accountable chairperson of SCOPA. The committees in the House should also be, chairpersons of those committees should also be held accountable in terms of those resolutions, so that it's not only the executive that is, but the House itself must also take that responsibility to make sure that those resolutions are actually implemented. So we don't take into account that, yes, we are all made by the same board, but indeed we also have to take into account that we all have that responsibility, both from the executive and the House, so that we do take into account that we are all coordinating departments. From the Department of Agriculture, we also take into account the underspending, particularly that relates to those poor farmers out there, so that we are able to make sure that we continue to spend and make sure that we are able to support them. And we will take into account all the reports that we have said have been undertaken, so that we are able to make sure that we bring them forth. And we believe that with the leadership of the Honorable Premier Mashatasa, we always said that we must
make sure that we follow up on all those reports and we bring them to the Executive Council so that we are able to see and make sure that they are all implemented, that they will actually be done. Once again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. The Honorable the Premier.
Indeed, Judge Powell said,
I'm brave, George. I'm suspended the 2 minutes rule.
Deputy Speaker, I'm saying one highly accomplished and acknowledged author called George Powell said before that irrespective of animals being all equal, some animals will be more equal than others. It's not me, George Powell. Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker, Chief Whip of the Majority Party and the Legislature, honorable members, members of the Executive, I must appreciate and thank all members of the Executive first and members of this legislature for having taken us to where we are today. It can't be said to be only the executive or only the legislature or only the premier or whoever who took us to where we are. It's all of us, members of the legislature, both the ruling party and the opposition. All the time, when everybody does what he or she is supposed to do effectively, the resultant fact is the fact that we will end up with a qualitative product. For as long as all of us are putting in the right effort, investing the right effort, in the space where you are allocated, you'll ultimately turn out to produce a qualitative product. So we want to thank the committees of the legislature for doing that. It can be a negotiable to account effective and efficient. It can be. For as long as the public have given you, the companies have given you this have given you this responsibility of turning around their lives, then it therefore applies that we must also account for every cent that they give you to spend. So against that background that I agree with you, Honorable Manai, when you say we must support the law enforcement authorities when they do their work, encourage and support them. But equally, whilst and when we do that, we must guard against not reporting accurately. Because it is not correct to say that Elias Mutuality lost 190 million less in years. That is not correct. That is being very economic. Elias Mutuality, under the leadership of the then mayor, Julia Matel, invested 190 million to VPS. But they covered everything. They covered all the 190. There was nothing for the country. They covered everything. As a jade on top, they even got interest in it. So it can't be correct to say that we lost 190 million. It's not correct. Let's report accurately, more especially when we present in the August House of the speech. Honorable members,
think I need to highlight very few things on the issues of good governance. One is starting on the issue of unauthorized and irregular expenditure. We need to deal with that. And as a result, Executive Council took a resolution, a special resolution, that now that we have dealt with what is referred to as this, what do I put it? Why am I forgetting this? Not that is the other one. Disclaimer. How do I forget this? But it's good that I forget. We haven't had it for a long time now. So that is why I've got to forget it. Now that we've dealt with that, it's easy to us. Unlike what we see in other provinces, here you no longer have the disclaimer. We've got one other meaning that we need to deal with, and that is irregular and unauthorized expenditure. We don't have fruitless expenditure any longer in this province. If there is, it's very much. We have dealt with what was. So, but for us to be seen to be running an entity that is running good governance, we need to also deal with this unauthorized and irregular expenditure. We have started doing that in the Department of Education, Health, and other entities. But for us to be effective, to be quick and do this, all of us must do what we are supposed to do in our own spaces effectively. If certain things have to be condoned, let them be condoned. Because you ask the NBC, the current and the former NBC about the irregular expenditure in the Department of Education. What makes the Department of Education so stagnant in qualified auditor? It's because of leaders. Some of them started that time when we were still brave, Honorable Speaker. 2011, yes, they did back to 2011, 2010. This irregular expenditure issues. So, for us to help the department to get out of that logjam of qualified auditor, we need to either condone those things that happened many years ago. That's not it. There are no documents now. But in the so there's nothing that the current HOD, the current NEC who's there, can do to recover the information that has been lost in 2011, 2012, but even before that. So we need to deal with that, and so but go into it as Executive Council have taken that. We are going to sort of categorize all of them. This is irregular expenditure, this particular. Yes, this is the recent one. What were the reasons? If there are consequences that needs to be meted out to people, we'll talk that. But at the end of the day, you must hear it in no more than 24 months. The issue of that, I think MEC runs done has sufficiently clarified the issue of GAL. You know, GAL is one problem child that is still going to be with us, Honorable Parliament, for a very long time. When I was still sitting in those benches there, as an administrator, we made a recommendation to the then politicians that please don't continue with this project because it will never be a successful project. Financially, in the first instance, it does not make sense. If you run the figures of Gateway Airport Limpopo, for it to be self-sustainable, there is something called when you appraise projects using the NPV method. The NPV method is the net present value method. When you appraise them, there is something called the Monte Carlo simulations. You are running figures, a lot of figures, trying to assess as to when will this project start running, when will it start being profitable. Normally you start with 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and so on. With Gateway Airports in 2003, when we are writing those figures, we are saying that airport will only be breaking even in the year 157. Now, where will you be? So as I say, it's a problem, child, that we need to sit down as the leadership of these programs and decide as to whether we want to continue with this thing. Because you've got what we call the financial net present value and the economic net present value. When you balance the two, you don't get the kind of equilibrium that you can say is effective and efficient. So, hence I am motivating that perhaps we need to revisit the initial idea of having it as an international airport. Or else treat it with one airport, which is very successful in the province. It's great airport. Very successful, and it's a small airport. Perhaps we can treat this license, Honorable President, with that of its way, or even transfer it to its way, so that people can fly directly from its way. And then you have small flights, aircraft flying to Gateway Airport. Then we shall have reduced your expenditure. You shall have reduced your expenditure for the Gateway International Airport, and then perhaps, as a small entity, it can run profit. That is precisely what we have done, Honorable Squad, with Green North Transport in 2003. When Great North Transport was turned around and made profitable, when Great North Transport was producing unqualified labor, when Great North Transport was selling figures to the mother company, that's what we did. I packaged the product and identified the routes that were not profitable and said, how can we make this profitable? We can only make it profitable if you give it to small companies which do not have big overheads. Like, hence we came up with what today is called SCOPA, bus company, Maduti, bus company. We brought together small operators to run those routes. They are running them effectively. Now today, those bus companies are stronger than Green North Transport. And I'm sure that we can do the same with car. Yeah, it's Now, coming to Road Agency Limpopo, I think here, Honorable Pala, get to get Jan Soyana Makman. Now, that's it. RAL used to be a government when it was seriously sinking in debt, when it was producing very horrible results. But you appointed this board, this new board, and RAL started recovering and producing an impact. Why did they understand? This is something that I had to probe also. Why did you understand? The explanation that I got was that they had overheated in the previous year, overspent in the previous year. And for them to recover, they had to agree with Treasury that they should not spend a particular portion of money. So that at the end of the day, they must break even and start spending again. I cannot go over it, but I will spend more than what you're supposed to spend. So that money must be repaid. I am told that was the arrangement. Hence, remember, RAL is not doing what you call ordinary maintenance of roads. That is being done by SCOPA, the Department of Public Works. Oh, but I potholes is not RAL. It's still the department. RAL is doing what you call preventative maintenance, which comes before potholes. Once the public works, I saw hence, here, the last item that I want to address, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of under-expenditure, which I must accept is one other thing that needs to be dealt with ruthlessly. We need to deal with it ruthlessly. It can't be possible that we don't build houses when our people are staying in mud houses. It can't be possible that you don't spend money on roads. The road that you are talking about does not belong to RAL, it belongs to municipality of Ephraim. It was built by the municipality. It can be correct that you still building those low quality roads. And at the end of the day, the municipal infrastructure plan is sent back to municipality. That cannot be acceptable. Hence, our consequence management has to be very intensified and fair. But we should not confuse under expenditure with savings. You look at the 16 million rands, for example, and just give me an example, that was not spent in the previous months. I don't see that as under expenditure, because that is the money that the Premier was supposed to use for overseas trips, which he did not do. That is the money that was supposed to be used for appointment of senior management. Now, why do we not do that? The organizational structure of the Premier's office in Limpopo is 3 times the size of the organizational structure of the Premier's office in the Western Cape. Western Cape is 1/3 of what we have in this province. 3 times. The size, our size is 2
had the other day of the Western Cape. And that in itself is not sustainable. So what we did, we said, no, let's go and revisit this organizational structure and look at ways and means of trying to trim it down. So I had to stop all appointments for as long as we who are still doing that body. As to what is it that we can do to reduce this, so that we can make money available to Kiramatu and the Department of Education and the money can be used effectively. But again, you can't just say because I'm premier must always be the aircraft running floating. Even if there is no targeted investment that you need to be traveling to. I can't just go to China to go and meet with people and come back. I must go to China, meet with a program, meet with people based on a particular kind of investment that I want to come to my province. But again, you can't travel overseas when there is COVID. You must wait for COVID to subside and rather take money to go and buy PPEs than travel all over the world. Hence, I consider that as savings. I don't consider it as underspending. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I think once more I need to thank you. It's unfortunate my friend Honorable Akem is not here. I was going to ask him as to where is the leader of the opposition. Where is the leader of the opposition? Because it's quite some time that I have not been seen. Unless if he's ill or something like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. Thank you very much. Are there any announcements? Deputy Chair of Chairs.
Announcement yewe wana gore jawlero nagazo botu baba saweo lunch is set in the book.
Thank you very much. The House is adjourned to Tuesday, the 29th of November 2022, 10 o'clock in this Limpopo Legislative Chamber. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Speaker.